Hello.
Howdy.
We're back. We got Dan and Miss Anika Jones.
Well, hello.
Another wonderful episode of Graffiti Park Radio. Good morning, good afternoon, good morrow, whenever you might be listening. We're happy to have you. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Angelo. How you doing?
Doing awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Angelo, also known as Art Dragon.
Yes, sir.
Is your little pseudonym there thing. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Angelo.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, first of all, I'm super happy to be here. Thank you guys so much. This is really exciting. A little bit about me is I'm actually a student here at UNLV.
Okay.
Woo-hoo.
Yep.
Go Rebs.
Alma mater.
Go Rebs. Oh yeah, alma mater. I know you guys are fellow alumni, so
Yeah,
it's pretty
we are.
exciting. Rebel family. You
We
know
are.
what I'm saying?
We are.
So, yeah. So that's a little bit about me. I'm an art major here, minoring in Japanese.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
What? Thank you. Where are you from?
So I'm from here, Las Vegas, local. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Born and raised.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Western High School.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
I know you guys have been busy over there.
We have done some stuff over at
Dude,
Western.
you guys move quick because I've been wanting to go visit and see the work you guys have done and visit some teachers, And
Yeah, we'll have you.
yeah.
I think we did some stuff there, and they're like, you work with my old student Angelo and whatnot.
Was that mentioned?
Very
Yes,
cool.
you were mentioned.
See,
Very
Yes,
cool.
Pretty awesome.
You're
Yes.
celebrities in your own right.
exactly.
Oh, thank you.
So you're an art major. What kind of medium concentration?
Yeah, focus in drawing, printmaking, and painting. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little different from the the graffiti medium, but I feel like art's art. So-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what got you started, I guess, originally, and then how did you end up at UNLV in the art program?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. Thank you for asking that
Yeah.
because I was not an art major at
Okay.
first, right? Like, I think that like art is just not a career that's believed in or like talked about. to
Unfortunately
high
not.
school. Unfortunately
Yeah.
not. Yeah. So I was actually a civil engineer major coming
wow.
in. Yeah, it's completely
Rad.
different. Yeah.
Good switch.
Yeah.
For real.
Honestly, I'm gonna
No
say
diss
this
to the
I'm-
engineers out there.
no diss, but to anyone thinking about it, it's been one of the best decisions I've
That's
ever made,
incredible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was a civil engineering major, and I don't know, things just didn't feel right. Like, I felt like I wasn't doing what I really wanted to do. It didn't feel like me. So,
Yeah.
took a little break from classes and did some, like, self-discovery, and that's when I realized, like, you know what, like, life's too short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what you love.
If you feel comfortable sharing, what ended up giving you that confidence at the end of the day to make that leap?
Yeah, that's another great question. One of the things that gave me that confidence is, I had to look at like what makes me unique. I really genuinely like what can I offer to the world that I feel like only I can offer. And I feel like it has to be something you're like passionate about. Like I did a lot of like YouTube's one of the greatest sources in the world. Right? Like YouTube University is real.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I have a master's.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
A PhD. Yeah.
PhD, yeah. And so I was like going through YouTube, just looking at a lot of people who I looked up to, people who I felt like have followed their path and made the most out of life, and like I think that the main thing across any field, whether it's art or acting, it's like just do what you love. Don't even worry about anything else. Just do what you love. So I was like, well, what do I even love? You know what I mean? What's like, it's so hard. It's a hard question when you haven't thought about that for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And doing some self-discovery. I actually left college, left Vegas, joined the military, really
Oh.
like kind of just went away from everyone.
Wow.
And just, try to find myself.
When was this?
This was, let's see, I joined college first in 2019, and then, it was just going downhill because just classes weren't working. So 2021 is when I left.
Okay.
So 2 years of college wasn't working out, left, yeah. And then did some thinking.
Okay.
So yeah.
And what branch of the military? And do you
Army,
mind
yeah,
sharing that?
yeah. I'm in the National Guard right now.
Wow. Oh, heck yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I'm still in that. I still have a contract with them. Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay. And
What's
so,
your MOS?
I see you're educated. My MOS, which is my military job, it's a 88 mic, so it's a truck driver. Has nothing to do with like
Okay.
my like art life.
Good.
So yeah.
Sometimes
I
it'd
don't
be
More
like
skills.
that.
I know.
More skills, baby.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I
that
guess
you're
so, yeah.
super well rounded with all of these different
thank you.
like you just literally just told us all these different aspects of your life in such a short amount of time.
Oh, yeah, thank
I
you.
also was kind of peeking at your life, getting a little stock on before we
Yeah.
started the
All
show,
right.
and I saw that you were doing martial arts. Are you
Yes.
grounded in that way from the martial arts, and then how do you
Yeah.
put that into your artwork?
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that question a lot.
Of course,
actually,
man.
'cause
We appreciate you.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so going back to why I chose art. Like, I have been drawing just out of passion since I was young. I just draw in my free time.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, you know, I love to draw, like, regardless, you know, so I'll do that, you know. And I feel that art is just timeless,
Yeah.
right? Like, we talk about art, we talk about Van Gogh, Monet, like, you know, Hokusai, the Great Wave, and it's just timeless, and it felt like something that's worth putting your time in.
Mhm.
And then going back to, I am grounded in martial arts too, because it's just another one of my passion, like a passion of mine. Like, growing up, I grew up watching martial art movies. I started when I was like 9 years old,
wow.
but before that, I was always pretending, you know.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was in my nature, you know. So that's that. Those two, I would say, is like what grounds me is art
Yeah.
and martial arts.
I
Yeah,
love
if I
it.
could define myself, you know, with the activities.
Which martial arts?
So I have a heavy background in Taekwondo, ITF Taekwondo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Heck
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And so
And
that was the one that you started when you were 9, or what did you start with? And that's
Yeah.
how you've kind of graduated your way?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, I started with ITF Taekwondo when I was 9, and then when I went into Western high school, I wrestled. I consider, even though wrestling's not from like East Asia, it's still like a martial art to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anything combat related. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll be training with him, by the way. Just want to
Let's
throw that out to
go,
everybody.
Mika.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Oh.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll
Yes,
give it a. Is
That'd be fun.
Taekwondo, is that Korean?
Taekwondo's Korean
okay.
martial art. Yes. Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit, what is your background and how does that influence your artistic style?
Yeah, like what background do you mean? Like
Cultural background.
culture. Okay, yeah. So my family comes from Philippines.
Okay.
And right now I haven't really been paying homage to that in my artwork so much. I think I should, you know. I'd like to pay respects and roots.
Absolutely.
Some Filipino art that I have made is from sceneries that I've done. I do like to travel, so when I find like a scenery that's really beautiful, I've done this painting, and it's called Banawe rice terraces. These beautiful rice terraces. You guys should look it up. It's amazing. It's like
Okay.
staircases in the mountains used to cultivate rice in an efficient way. And it's just a beautiful sight, and it's just a wonderful example, I think, for
Yeah.
humanity, because they worked with nature.
Yeah.
They didn't just like exploit it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something it's possible, and we should think about that. But that was my most recent, like, you know, connected to my heritage, you know, that I've done.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so what inspired you to study Japanese as a minor here at UNLV?
Yes, yeah. So I'm not Japanese at all, but I just am infatuated by Japanese culture.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up, of course, watching anime, as a lot of people do, and I just love the music, and I love the culture as well. I just came there. I just came from there for the first time. It's a super great experience.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
When did
And,
you go? What was your experience like?
Yeah, I went this past spring break.
Okay.
And the experience was just mind opening, you
Wow.
know. It's just like, because the Eastern world is just the total opposite from here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be great for us to both just see each other's worlds, you know. And when I'm there, it's just everything's different, you know. And it's humbling too, you know. Like, you know, I feel like here we have a lot of people coming into states from other countries, and when you're from the States, you don't really understand when you're in the shoes of someone else, like in another country, like not outside of, you know, when you're outside of your own home, you don't even
Yeah.
speak the language, and it's so hard. Like,
Yeah.
it really makes me respect these people. I don't even know how they do it, you know. And so it's a beautiful experience, and the art there, Japanese art is my favorite when it comes to, you know, and it's just amazing.
Will you tell us a little more? Why Japanese art?
Let's see. Well, Japanese art, like the Edo period, the woodblock prints, it's just that style.
Mm-hmm.
And I love nature, and Japanese art and culture really emphasizes nature, and respecting nature is
Absolutely.
a huge part of there. One of the things I want to share, it's random, but like, this is
Please.
crazy. I was like, they don't do this, and it's changed the way I actually move now that I'm here. It's simple but super effective, I think. Like, they don't use paper towels to dry their hands after you wash your hands in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you wash your hands, you know how we take out the paper, dry it, throw it away. That is not a thing there. There's no paper towels, you know? And it was just like one of the biggest, like, smallest but biggest differences to
Yeah.
me. So now, like, every time I wash my hands here, I'm like, I don't need those paper towels. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't. Like, the air's gonna dry it, you know? But it just shows, like, their respect and their consciousness of working with nature.
Kind of like the sustainable art concept you were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I dealt with that a little bit. I lived on Oahu for a short amount of time.
Hawaii, okay.
My very first First Friday experiences were downtown Honolulu, and it was predominantly Japanese art, and it just encompassed everything that was happening, the aloha spirit in Hawaii, and being able to just connect with that spirit, and also with the difference in culture. We're mainland folks. We know mainland things.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it was a learning experience for the focal point to not be black and white, the focal point not to be about politics, the focal point not to be about what's happening on the mainland. And it was such a beautiful thing to see in a place that wasn't even Japan. You know what I mean? So it was such a great introduction to that. So I totally get where you're coming from and how that transitioned into your art, and especially your martial arts as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's very cool.
For sure.
So how would you describe your artistic style? You've talked about a lot of your influences and some of the things you're focusing on here at school, but how would you describe your style and kind of that sort of thing?
Yeah, thank you for that question, because I will say it's definitely developing, because I've done some projects with you guys, right? And I'm super beginner, and then I'm around all these like professionals, it's really amazing, and kind of intimidating too, because I'm like, oh man, they have their style. What's my style?
Right.
Going back to why I'm even learning Japanese right now and my interest in Japanese culture is, I'm trying to like blend the Eastern world with this world, right? Like I'd like to introduce what's called kanji. Like I feel passionate about putting kanji on my art. Kanji is Chinese characters. It's the Japanese name for Chinese characters.
Oh, I see.
That's what the kanji is. And because for me, kanji is a beautiful art. It just looks amazing.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when you think about it, it's the same as graffiti. It's writing.
Yeah.
And it's expression through writing.
That were originally, it's really cool that you bring this up. They were originally like hieroglyphics, essentially written on the insides of caves. And so the Chinese language is written based on some of these different hieroglyphics that were written on the side of the cave. So they don't have like alphabets the same way that we do in English. It's completely different to where it's
like a character represents a group of words.
See. Yeah.
Or an image of words versus
beautiful.
Spelling out lion. It's like one character.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
so going back to that calligraphy and just learning those characters, it's really it opens you up to this new world, because it's just a different way of looking at writing. Like you said, it's images, and when you look at the character, it's not just, you can't really look at a character and say a meaning. A lot of the times it's concepts, so it's a lot more abstract. Like you look at a character and it's like it means something like this. You don't say this character means death, it could mean whatever the context you put it in, and it's so
end
deep. It could be end, or it can be like I don't know, the list is pretty much endless. It's kind of hard to talk about. But so going back to my style is, I definitely want to convey a message for sure, and I want to connect like an image to the message I'm trying to convey. I want to do it more abstractly, right? Like I'm not just gonna put in kanji, follow your dreams, and then
right.
Like, it has to
live, laugh, love.
No, it has to be something deep, because like there's so many proverbs, just things that are deep, like that you have to think about, and you have to search. If you really want to know what it is, you gotta like search, and I just want to spark curiosity. I don't want people to look at something and be like, all right, I got it. I want them to be like, man, what is that? And then like start to think about it, and if they're interested, look into it more, because that's when the magic happens. You got to like do some searching,
Yeah. And you mentioned when you were first answering that question that it can be kind of intimidating being around other artists that have a developed style and that sort of thing. So we ask all of our guests that kind of same question, like, well, how would you define that? And they all kind of have that first initial answer that you were saying is like, I don't really know. I'm still trying to find it, whether they've been doing art for a couple years or 20 years, right? So I think that's something cool about art in general, is like there's no destination.
It's endless.
If you look at like all the famous names you were talking about earlier, like Picasso, if you just look, his style changed every decade, depending on what were his influences, what he was experiencing in life, what he was trying to convey. So
right.
I think that's That's a kind of a tough question to answer as an artist.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you kind of giving us a little
Yeah.
insight.
When it comes to integrating kanji into your artworks,
Mm-hmm.
do you have a specific inspiration or something that like are you finding these phrases while reading and then creating artworks around them, or are you creating
question.
artworks and then using kanji to fill them in or to add meaning to your artwork?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's kind of both. You know, I don't really have like a process of like, all right, I want to make a piece based off this idea. You know, it's more like sometimes I'm like, okay, I have this image in my head, for example, like a temple or something, you know, and then I'll look at kanji, you know, in regards to that, you know, or like when I say a temple, that would be associated with Buddhism, you know, just a little bit of a, like, I guess, crash course, like temple is Buddhism. So I'm like, okay, what are like some Buddhist philosophies?
Okay.
And then if I were to say, oh, I'm painting or I'm doing artwork on I was gonna say the Japanese word jinja, but shrine, on a shrine, then that's more like Shinto, you know, and there was some Shinto ideas. So yeah, sometimes the image comes, but then other times the kanji are the characters. And it's so funny, you know, because like inspiration is really the best tool that you can have, because that's like your compass, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, let's say I see the kanji of like heart, you know, I'm like, okay, I see it. It might not hit the first time, but the more I just look into text, or, you know, I live life, I go to Japan, it's like, oh, that kanji's coming out again. Oh, sometimes these characters, some will stick to you. And then that's where I'm like, okay, I want to do artwork on that, you know. So sometimes I find proverbs just in like random spontaneous ways, whether it's through a book or on a sign, or, you know what I mean, or through like the martial arts life. Like, for example, like I'm watching like a martial arts video, right? So I'm not thinking of art at all, like not visual art, but the physical art of martial arts. And then I'll see like scrolls. I've been getting into calligraphy too, because it's like part of martial arts culture. I'll see a scroll behind it, and I'm like, oh, what's that kanji? You know, that's exciting. And so I'm like, what is that? Pause the video, screenshot it, look into it, and then, you know, it's search, because I'm like, wait, what does that even say? So now I have to ask my Japanese teachers, what is this? You know, and then when they tell you, it's like, oh my gosh, that's epic. You know, because it's something like a strength to move a mountain. You know, it's not just strong. You know what I mean? It's always like very, you know, like symbolic in a way, you know. So
it's not those like risk, you have to
no yeah like
wash
I said,
your hands.
yeah
I got
COVID
you.
times.
So. That's beautiful. I love the idea of this deeper language within the art that you're expressing and that you even see. You know, of course, this has been around for many years, but I think when we connect to that language behind the art, that's the voice that we're all missing. That's the voice, that's the song that we're all wanting to sing, but we can't quite figure out the words. So being able to create that for people, I think, is a beautiful thing, and you've definitely expressed that to us. So that's really cool.
I did want to kind of jump back, as you said you allow creativity to be your compass. What do you mean by that?
I feel like it's as cliche as it sounds, it's like it's just following your heart and just like staying curious, you know, like staying curious and always wanting to create, you know. I want to create, like you should want to create, you know, like you should tell yourself you want to create, and then like that creative spirit's gonna be like, oh, okay, then it's gonna start looking, you know, that activates it. If you don't ever tell yourself that you want to create, I don't think like the creativity is gonna like, you know, come out. Like I think you gotta be like, man, I want to create, but what, you know, then it's like, oh, okay, then, you know, you let it come to you. It's you know, as much as I wish it was like, oh, I want to create something, okay, I know what I want to create, you know. It's more just like, you know, just letting that, I guess, like curiosity, you know, guide you, and just looking back onto like, you know, what are some things that have sparked my attention. It's kind of interesting, you know, because it's like you can look at it. Art is so abstract, right? So you can look at it either ways. I can look to the past and be like, what's some things, for example, if I were looking back to my Japanese trip, right, or my trip to Japan, like what are some maybe pictures that I took, you know, that I know I wanted to use. I guess at some point it gets to a point, at some point when you get into the flow of creating, you start to kind of like plan ahead for your next creation. So when I was out there, I wasn't taking, okay, for anyone who's like thinking about traveling, I feel like there's levels to it. So first you go and you travel and you're taking these pictures like, oh, this is so cool, I want to post it, you know. But now like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a picture, but like, how am I going to use this? Yeah. So this past trip was a little different because I was like, you know, how can I use this in my art? It just feels a little bit more deep than versus like, how, you know, I want to put this on my story. It's more like, okay, what inspires my art? So it's kind of like planning ahead is part of it, you know, like I'm actually gonna reference Black. I'm gonna reference Black because he was a huge inspiration to me. And he said something on this podcast that has been on my mind, and it's, you know, just keeping that open mind, you know, that's gonna serve your creative spirit, you know. He had said, he said a small example, but it stuck with me, and that's like even something like noticing a colorway, you know, and that's like really opened my eyes, because I remember the specific point, I was in the plane, you know, going to another country, and I was like, it was like sunset time, is beautiful, you know, and there was like this purple lighting because it was darker outside, so the purple lighting comes on in the plane, but then you had this like bright orange coming in from the sunset. It was very specific to the moment, and I was just like, dude, this is what he was talking about. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, this color palette right now is beautiful. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it opens your desire to notice the world around you. So
it makes the world so much more beautiful. It does give you that option of looking at the world almost for the first time, or through a child's eyes, or through somebody that's constantly learning to learn new things, as opposed to the preconditioned things that have been
for sure
already taught to you or brought to you. And it's the connection too, like the idea that you were able to see what he was talking about before you even saw that sunset says something, and then you did, and you're like, yes, this is it. You know, that's that missing song lyric. You know?
I like that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's a huge step up. Has there been any other of those that you feel like have drastically improved your art career? Anything that you felt was like not a shortcut or a cheat code, but something that you really feel like leveled up?
Aha moments like that. Yeah, so like I said, it's always, I feel like it's always spontaneous, you know, because I feel like when I'm searching for it, it's like, I can't find anything. All right, I'll leave it. Oh, snaps. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that, you know? So just keep an open mind, you know? But I think another one of those moments was, let's see. That's kind of hard right now. I want to say the most recent, I can't think of one specifically right now that's like that, where it kind of things like clicked and made sense, but I just have been taking a lot of pictures for the sake of like, I've just been, I'll say this, what I know I like, I record it down just in case for the future, you know what I mean? So like anything in regards to martial arts, you know, like I went to a martial arts history museum, I was just taking pictures, boom, boom, boom. Oh, this kind of inspires me. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but maybe I will, you know? And I think like, that's another thing I discovered, like another discovery, I guess I can say, is like, don't put too much pressure on yourself, you know, that like take a picture of this and make an art piece out of it. More like take a picture of it, inspires you, and like let it, you know, grow if it was meant to, you know? And like, I think that's been the biggest thing. So now if I feel passionate about it, or if I love it, and if it's in the realm of like, I kind of know what my passions are at this point, you know, it's kind of funny, right? Because that's like a growing moment, because like initially I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know like what I loved. I didn't know I wanted to do art, but now I'm like, I know what I love. Now I'm searching. So it's kind of like, you know, you get deeper into that, and then you can hone in certain stuff. But anyways, yeah, for me, it's like martial arts, you know, East Asian culture, or even I'm glad you brought up Aloha spirit, because, you know, Philippines is like islander, and I went to Hawaii, and like just anything in like that like islander, I think like islander, or anything that I guess Aloha spirit, you know, when I say Aloha spirit, I feel like that doesn't like single it to just Hawaii. Exactly. I feel like that's just like the life spirit, you know, the love spirit, and whatever I know like sparks that. So like I said, like martial arts, or like, you know, Japanese culture, nature. I love nature, you know, as like I feel like every artist does, but like I've been taking a lot of pictures of flowers recently, you know, and just with the open mind of like, man, this is striking, let me just like enjoy this moment, you know, capture it. And now I have like a little drive just where like, you know, just where I can reference if I need to, you know. So it's thinking ahead, but also looking in the past, you know, so
to rekindle those thoughts, those feelings.
It sounds like the like underlying, I guess, theme of what you've been talking about is like allowing yourself to be open-minded, but also like being intentional about what you're taking in.
Yeah, it's like a balance.
But the balance of not requiring yourself to like use that, right? So it's just kind of, it's like you got to be like water. You got to do it, right?
Exactly. Like water.
And so, and
water into a cup.
you know, Angela, honestly, like I think if not one of the youngest people we've had on the show,
awesome.
I think you've had some of the more insightful, like just things that you're talking about.
For sure.
That being said, as a creative, as you've been on this journey, Has there been, a challenge that stands out to you, or like a roadblock that you've had to overcome?
Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot of challenges, right? I think one of the hardest challenges is you have to really like respect your own time to create. One of the challenges is like, oh man, I don't have the time to create. It's like, and it's really like you have to prioritize it like it's a job, like your life depends on it. And I'm not gonna say like I create. I'm not going to say like, I work 2 jobs and then I go home and create, it's not like that for me. Like I go to school and then I work a part-time job and I try to have a social life. I try to live very organically and not like, not like I need to wake up at 5 a.m., and sleep at 4 a.m. You know what I mean? Like get 1 hour of sleep.
I create 3 days in one day.
I try to like really be forgiving with myself. But the hardest part is like, dude, I need to create because it's only you that's going to do it. But I will say that like doing it as my major has helped a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, now like I can satisfy a requirement as I do it.
Exactly.
So I'm not like studying civil engineering then trying to create.
Yeah.
I'm creating in it for a major, which is a blessing. That's a huge blessing. But yeah, that's the hardest. I think that's like the biggest roadblock. Is like, oh man, like and I start to beat myself up. I didn't even sketch for 15 minutes today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like little like things like that you place on yourself, but. You just gotta self-love and forgive yourself and keep going.
So how much longer at UNLV do you have?
I always love this question because it's kind of abstract as well, just like art is, So like, if I wanted to, I could bust out UNLV in like 2 semesters if I wanted to, But one of the things that's in my factors that I'm considering is I'm in Army until March of 2027. So I'm kind of thinking of just like stretching it, taking my time until because they're gonna pay for it. Luckily, paying for it. Yeah. They're paying for it. Shout out, National Guard. But they're covering it until 2027. So I'm like, maybe I should, just take my time, stretch it out, and do the most I can with that time. So it's a range between a year to 2 years. So nice. 2 semesters to 4 semesters. Cool. Is like the range. Yeah.
So
close, man.
If people that are listening are interested in finding you, seeing some of your creations, where can they look? Where can they go?
For sure. I'd really appreciate it if they followed me on IG. That's at artdragon.key. And then I also have a YouTube. You could find my YouTube at artdragon. You can see it in my Instagram link.
Nice.
My YouTube will be there. Yeah.
So if you are interested in learning more or checking out what Angelo or Art Dragon's got going on, that's where you can find them. Real quickly, we're coming to an end. It's been a very quick 30 minutes here. We got 2 minutes left or so. Where'd you come up with Art Dragon?
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking that question, too. Man, like, I feel like creating one of the coolest parts of being a creative is, like, creating your name, So it definitely took a lot of time. It probably, like, took me 3 names, But I came up with Art Dragon, one, because, I'm born in the year of the dragon. 2000 is the year of dragon. Yep.
Cool.
Thank you. And, I always, like, the idea of like, making my identity out of both art and martial arts really struck me. And I felt like dragon kind of embraces the martial arts aspect. And then I just threw art in front, you know what I mean? Like, just try to keep it simple. And that's kind of how that came about. Just the idea of like, what's a name that kind of sounds like both,
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I have a bunch of follow-up questions for you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking some time last minute to hop on here and chat with us today. I know that we've worked with you several times over the last few years, and so I've learned a whole lot, man. And I'm sad we haven't had this conversation sooner, but I'm happy we had it today. So
for sure.
So you know where to find Angelo if you are interested. If you are interested in finding more Graffiti Park information, you can check us out on Instagram at graffitipark_LV or at graffitipark.org. And if you are listening to this prior to May 10th, 2025, we have our annual Foundation Fest event coming up from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. May 10th. Details can be found on our social media or on our website. If you are interested, it is free to attend. We'd love
Get your
to
tickets
have
on Eventbrite.
all ages. If you are interested in vending or whatever it might be, attending, vending, partnering, we're all ears. We'd love to see you there. Angelo, I hope you're there. We appreciate your time. Anika, Dan, always a pleasure. Deuces.
Thank you, guys.